Hi, everyone. During this very busy month of November, which is also National Caregivers Month. Let me switch my view while I'm thinking about it. Welcome. We want to focus on celebrating caregivers, and we have an exciting panel to help us do that today, which I'm very happy to introduce. I'm going to share my screen with us and get us started. Josie, can we all see this?
Yes. Yep.
Thank you. So today we're going to celebrate caregivers and we're going to talk a little bit about practicing good digital citizenship. We have a very experienced panel joining us, but just to sort of set the stage, we're going to focus on caregiving. With all the things that we're going to talk about today, we're going to focus on it in sort of three categories. One is the caregiver's experience and perspective. The next is the carees, the person who is receiving the care and the services, their perspective and point of view. And of course, because we are who we are, we want to tie this in with digital citizenship and digital skills, digital literacy, digital access, all of those things as well. So our agenda is the huge. I'm going to introduce the panel, and just a few minutes before the hour is up, we're going to do an exciting raffle giveaway. The course that we're giving away today is Digital Equity and the Aging. Although caregiving isn't just with the aging, it's with all sorts, which we'll talk about today. Rather than sprinkling resources in the chat, which we know can get distracting, please use this QR code. It's going to take you to a Google Doc, and that Google Doc has a lot of helpful resources that have been provided by our panelists today. So I'll show this once more at the end, but at the end, I'm usually hustling pretty quick. So I'll give us just a couple more seconds to take a picture of that. And I'd like to briefly introduce our panelists today. We have Lynn Greenblatt, who's founder of the Austin-based Caregiving Cafe, which provides an extensive amount of resources and networking for caregivers. I thought this was interesting. She refers to herself on LinkedIn as Chief Caregiving Officer. And the mission of the Caregiving Cafe that Lynn founded is to connect family caregivers to resources, education, and fellowship to help them manage their responsibilities. She's joining us from Austin. Our next panelist is joining us from UC Berkeley. Jolie Lamb is the program director of a research lab that is titled Citrus and the Benetau Institute. She's the director of this program, and it has a lot of initiatives. And some of its more predominant initiatives are the Lighthouse for Older Adults and Activate, which provides telehealth solutions to low-income families and remote areas. Jolie's PhD and current research involve quite a lot of study of aging populations and digital literacy. This even includes like generative AI, but I do also want to mention that Jolie has extensive caregiving experience. She has spent years of her life caregiving her father-in-law, her mother-in-law, and several church members that she currently provides care to. We also have Hema Ramaswamy. When I was asking about the pronunciation of her name, she said, it's like, hey ma. You say, hey ma, when you're talking to your mom. Hema is the founder of Sunlit Live, which we're going to talk a little bit more about because it's technology based. Sunlit Live is a technology platform that streamlines senior caregiving for family caregivers. And I think this is particularly helpful and relevant in our current moment where so many things are digital. Her vision after spending 30 plus years working in the tech industry, she founded this Sunlit Live in order to use technology as a guide to manage caregiving journeys for folks. And without further ado, let me stop my share. And what I'd like to do, oh, let me mention one more thing. We only have Jolie with us for about the first half. So she's not driving for all, I was worried about that. Like for those of you who can see her, she is not driving. She's just so punctual that she wanted to make sure that she joined us. So she will be exiting a little early. So if you have questions for Jolie, and if at any time you have any questions, please pop them in the chat because we hope to get to those. Josie and Alejandra from our team are monitoring the chat. And so we really do hope to get to some of your specific questions and comments. That's one of our goals. So let me be quiet and let me turn it over to our panel to talk more about what you do, specifically what brought you here. And also let me just ask you, if each of you would tell us, like, what does a caregiver look like? What does it look like to be a caregiver? Because that's not just one thing. I'd like to start with Lynn and then just open up the conversation with our panel.
Right. Well, thank you so much, and good day to everybody who's joining us. It's really exciting to be here, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you. And anything that I can do regarding caregiving journeys, please, I'd be happy to do. What brings me to this panel is the fact that a CTN is focusing on caregivers, which is amazing and wonderful because many people do not. It is sort of a almost like a hush hush kind of taboo subject. Oh no, we're not going to talk about that, or I'm not a caregiver. And so we really, really, really need to bring this to the uh, 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 to highlight caregiving, to have it front and forward, because even though we are in the role, oftentimes we don't realize that we are, or we refuse to call ourselves a caregiver. When truly, when we do what we do, which is a lot of different things, and I'll get into it in a little bit, it's very important to focus on what the caregivers do and what they need. In order to find out what caregivers need, we need to speak up. So I love to highlight resources and to coordinate tasks and wellness and treatments. That's also what brings me to this panel, different ways of coordinating all of those responsibilities, as well as encouraging family caregivers to learn about the current technology and other resources, both local, global. It doesn't matter. The Alzheimer's Society in UK has amazing information in that subject matter. And so let's incorporate the little bits that you find across the internet into our caregiving day so that we can better manage. Now, what does a family caregiver look like? It looks like the whole world. There are children, youth, teenagers, 20-somethings, 30-somethings, 80-somethings, 90-somethings. They look like you and me and everybody else around you. Okay? Physically, that's who we are. We are everywhere, and yet we're called invisible. I really do not like that term because I am here. I am not invisible. So it is up to us to speak up. And I do understand what they mean, up to a point. We do a lot of behind the scenes work, but we need to be front and forward, like I mentioned before, because what we do, we are in every single family. Every family has somebody who needs a little bit of TLC, a little bit of help, any kind, whether it's mental or physical, a chronic illness. A caregiver needs to be creative, a diplomat, resourceful, resilient. We need to learn to juggle Somebody mentioned a caregiver is a coordinator of all these different things. Bingo. I call it a juggler because we have so many balls, responsibilities, and roles. Is not just because we become a caregiver doesn't mean we're not a mom or a wife or a daughter or a friend or a sister. No, caregiving is in addition to that. So that's kind of my very vague answer to what does a caregiver look like. All of us look, you go to the grocery store, I talk to the cashier. Oh, yeah, I'm a caregiver. My mother's a caregiver, right? But we just kind of disappear into the crowd. But anyway, we need to make some noise.
Hema, Jolie, what brings you here? What does a caregiver look like?
Yes, for me, the topic itself was heartening and encouraging. The subject was celebrating caregivers, and that in itself warranted me to want to be in this panel. So I think caregivers, I feel, are not celebrated enough because they think that caregiving is just, essential part of your life. You have to know how to do this. But, my life circumstances um, told me otherwise. I lost my father last year. My siblings and I really thought that, we had the caregiving journey for my mother all figured out, but that was in theory. But practice, it turned out to be a very challenging thing because change was the constant. So as Lynn put it, um, not only do you have to just juggle the different aspects of caregiving as a responsibility, but you're also juggling with being a mom and being a, professional, being a whole human being with their own needs and wants and things like that. So I would say that's what attracted me to this panel.
Yeah, so I resonate with what Hemam and Lean said about share thanks for sharing your journey and thought. So my the reason why I like to join because I really feel that CTN is a really good platform, and I've been also volunteering at the Bay Area in California. I goes to different centers there, senior centers, and want to act really interact with them and then understand what their needs. And for my journey is I take care of my in-laws and then my grandmother, and that was tough too, being a mom and being also working full time. So my take is like self-care. It's very important. So this is life. Definitely, it's life. It's ups and downs. Everyone go through it, but you have a healthy mind, and physically also being well taken care of, so that you can have the energy to take care of people that you love or your neighbors or communities in that sense, and also never hesitate to ask for help. It's always good to have because you're not alone. We are not alone, so it's good to have a support backup from your other family siblings too, and community member, whether it's your church or neighbors, that they will face the similar issue like us. Where I live, it's we live together. So maybe my culture and where my family or neighbors, they have grandparents, parents live there. So three different generations, they all live together. So we see each other every day. The kids play around, the grandparents, at the park, and I talk to them, and they have a very good rapport. So that's what I found very helpful. And to add to that is also I'm the first immigrant here in the United States, and so my hometown is in Hong Kong. So a lot of my relatives, my uncle and aunts, choose to stay there, and so my cousin and I also face the issue about long distance. Right, I'm here. Some of my cousins in Europe, so how we're gonna help out since we're so far away. So that's why my research is about digital literacy and also how the IT can help facilitate that for us, even though we cannot see each other in person, touch each other, hug each other, but as far as like Zoom, like this, basically Zoom, WeChat, or WhatsApp, how can we utilize IT to make some quality time with our loved ones? Thank you.
Jolie, I want, while we still have you, it's up to you, you can choose. I know something that's very important to all of our panelists is the concept of self-care for the caregiver, also support for the caregiver, and those are two separate things. Which one would you like to talk about as being important, because you talked about both of them? And start us off on a little bit more, either self-care or how to get support and how to get help.
Got it. Got it. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying. I would say like, let's say self-care, really do it within myself first. Let's start with that. Um, Again, I'm saying I'm a full-time mom. I have a full-time job, and my parents are far away, and it is hard. Like, I have to mentally really think about my perspective. I know I'm that kind of person that I want to give all out, give service. They need me, then I go all out. But then I'm the one at the end of the day get strained. And then emotionally, I will have the resentment to myself and to people around me. For example, my husband and my little one. And that's not good, healthy. It's not healthy. It's not healthy for me. It's not healthy to maintain or build relationship with my uh immediate family. So that's what I want to mean is first of all, for me, what works is like I need 5-10 minutes to recharge, just like my phone. At the end of either in the morning, afternoon, evening, just keep it away from me. Husband, I need my time now. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, please. Let me just clear my thought. I don't want to think about anything. Worry about other people. Just clear it. Breathing helped me. I now I'm a big fan of meditation and breathing. Just simply 5 minutes. That's really helpful. So yeah, reflection, what I've done before and what I wanted to do and moving forward, and give yourself some credit, like Lynn saying that we do a lot and we are behind the scene. We seem visible, but sometimes invisible because people will take uh granted, my daughter, but mommy. But then I tell her, mommy also need my time. You can have your playtime alone. You can play independently or go to play with your neighbor kids, your friends out there, but everyone needs their time alone, your personal space time. So I think start with Finn is, for me myself, works a lot. Then you will know what kind of help you want to ask from other people, the support from your community. From work, my boss gave me really, you saw me in my car, so my boss is really supportive as far as like I can have flexible work hours. I can stay at home, work from home a few days, take care of my family, my loved ones, and then a few days just schedule all my meetings at work. So yeah, I'm not sure if I answer your question. Rework. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Lynn, Hema, self-care.
Well, I always have an opinion. Healthcare is to me paramount, and that is one of the most important things at Caregiving Cafe. Besides, connecting to resources and education and fellowship, as part of self-care and wellness. So I'm calling it wellness nowadays, but to keep your body, your mind, your spirit, your soul positive in a happy place. Part of that comes from learning resilience, how to bounce back, because life happens to everyone. So it's up to us to stay down and feel defeated and like a victim, or to, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and start all over again, and I truly believe that it is a mindset. Each one of us has that power, that choice. Am I going to stay down? Sometimes we just need to stay down for a little bit, but don't stay there forever, because it's not good for you. It's not good for anybody. It's not going to help you to get back into the swing of things, and when we become caregivers, I hear it said very often, if you are not well, you can't take care of your loved one. Yes, that's true, but I have an issue with that. And I'm not an egocentric person. Believe me, I'm not. I work very hard at being a family caregiver, not only for my family, but for other caregivers, um, is to give them what they need. But, we're all created equal. We all deserve wellness and joy and a good life, however you define good or happy. So I deserve as much wellness as my husband, who's bedridden. Okay, so I need to take care of myself for my own sake. What do I want to take care of my husband? So like I said, it might sound kind of selfish, but once have some degree of calm in me and peace of mind, what happens? I can think more clearly. I can do my job in a more compassionate, loving, nurturing way. Because I mentioned earlier, I think we're also cheerleaders. He's feeling down. I don't have to, but I would like to try to lift his spirits. He's the one who can't get out of bed. He's in horrible pain. And that's heartbreaking. So I need to kind of lift him. If I went in there and feeling really grouchy and whatever with an attitude, it's not going to help either of us. Both of us are going to feel terrible. So self-care, and it's up to you how you get that care, what works for you, whether it's meditation or journaling or deep breathing or walking, running, crafting, music, dancing. I'll take dancing. It's love it, love it. I've heard it say you can't dance in a bad mood. You try it, okay? You're just gonna have the time of your life, even if you don't dance, okay? You can know what's on, so that's self-care. Love yourself enough to set boundaries and to honor those boundaries, not just to set them. And you'll be amazed at how much love comes from self-love and you can share with those around you. Okay.
Lynn, we're seeing a question that's probably in response to something you're saying. So I want to invite Jeanette. I see your hand there, Jeanette.
Hello.
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Janet Estrada. I work with the Unity Council now, but prior to the Unity Council, I worked with CTN. I was one of the instructors. Shout out to Josie, Sabrina. I see some of you guys here. You guys are awesome. I miss you guys. Though they are great leaders for the organization that helped me grow into my career as well. So thank you for everything that you guys do. So I'm here today joining the training. I'm really excited because as an instructor, I used to work with the caregiver and the actual senior. So sometimes the caregiver would join for support to assist the senior. If we were doing like a remote class, the caregiver would join, and not only the senior will be learning, but also the caregiver. So it was like a joint learning experience, which was pretty cool. So that was part of my role with CTN. Now here at the Unity Council, I provide social services, and now I'm doing the actual applications for the caregivers. So for instance, for program like IHSSS, so in-home support services, where you have a person who needs care and support, maybe at home, maybe taking a senior to the doctor's appointments, sometimes reading their emails, or sometimes they need assistance with tech, or sometimes they want to enroll into the in-home support services and they don't know how to do the application. So part of my job is provide social services, and that entails anything that they need to survive. So that could be immigration applications, food stamp benefits, social security benefits, and also again the in-home support services. So I'm really thankful for CTN because they actually provide the tech training that they need to be connected, right? Back on what Lynn was sharing earlier about meditation, right? So that's self-care, and how do you access meditation if you can't get out of your house because maybe you have mobility challenges, right? You can join it through tech by maybe, yeah, joining YouTube channels, right? So that's some of the things that I used to provide and show my students with CTN. How to access technology is so important. Nowadays, a lot of these social services are easier to be done online.
Mhm.
And sometimes the caregivers don't have access to it. So it's a gap that we have, but I love it because it comes with hand in hand. So I'm really excited about hearing from all you, and I miss you guys, and hello everyone.
Well, thank you so much, Janet, for chiming in. And it's always great to see a CTN peep there. And Lynn, Hema, tying in that self-care when you or the person that taking care of can't leave the house, or you feel bad about leaving the house. Thoughts about that?
Yes. For me, I think, in addition to what Jolie and Lynn said, the only thing that I wanted to add is we as women are conditioned to believe that we have to keep giving and we can't be selfish about taking care of ourselves and things like that. And for me personally, it took me many years to get out of that mode of making a deliberate intention to care for yourself, and most importantly not feel guilty about it, because I think that guilt part of leaving the person that you're caring for or leaving your family to go do something for yourself was the main barrier for me to start doing self-care. So leaving the house has is also another area that was tied to guilt. You always are worried, well, what happens? What if bad things happen when you leave the house? Well, you just can only do what's in your control, right? You can't control what's not in your control. So that's kind of the mindset that I had to get into. And um, to get into a space where you have to trust somebody to provide you that respite. And that's also, something that you have to do so that you have the time to take care of yourself. Taking care of yourself is something that you do what you want to do, whether that's meditation, dancer. I'm a Indian classical dancer. That's my out. um, or just cuddling in and reading a book, whatever gives you that me time is what I classify as self-care. And that's exactly why I started Sunlit Live, to give that respite to family caregivers. I know that I cannot be there in their lives, but I can provide the technology where they can get themselves organized so that they can get the respite that they need.
If I may just add to that, that was very well said, Hema. So technology is amazing. You don't have to leave your home to have some me time. That's what I said. It's up to you. You have that choice, but you need to make a choice. You have to make a deliberate, take the deliberate action of giving yourself, even if it's only 10 minutes at the beginning and you work into your day. It involves time management. How can I, optimize the use of my time so that I have maybe 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, 5 minutes there? Oh, maybe can I combine things and have 15 minutes in one go instead? Sometimes 5 minutes is all you need to just, decompress and look outside or something, But if we don't take that choice, if we don't take action and it comes from here, then it's not going to happen, even if you have an hour, right? Sometimes it's just a cat nap, that's great. And touching on support, creating a care team is also so important. And that includes your doctors, any kind of medical staff, and neighbors, family. Sadly, family members are not always on the same page. They can be like backseat drivers you're doing it all wrong. Do it like this, my way or the highway kind of thing. And oh, okay. So you don't need people like that on your care team. You need people that are going to support you. But it's also important to give up some control. Some people are very controlling. That's their nature. Well, they need to learn to let go, like Hema said, let go of some of that because nothing has to be perfect. We're not perfect, right? And we are not the only people who can take good care of someone. So all those little things play kind of their mind games. So we need to just make a list. What do I need? When somebody offers, show them the list, you pick. If they don't ask, you make that list and show them that list. I went to a quick seminar a couple months ago where it said, invite others to offer help because everybody likes to help in some manner and it feels good to help. You feel good, so don't deprive them of that opportunity. And I thought, oh my goodness, that's what I've been doing. So I make my list, and if I need help, I have learned I don't have a problem asking for help or taking help, not at all. It's just that I think I can do everything, right? And I usually can actually, but never mind about the Wonder Woman, mentality. But I'm pretty practical and organized. But if somebody offers to do something to me, I tell the caregivers the only right answer is yes. Okay, I mean, take that help, and that also allows you some respite, a little bit of peace of mind, and take that time and just go do whatever is meaningful. I've also heard last thing, respite needs not time off to go do the laundry or the groceries. Yeah. It means time to recharge, to rejuvenate, to restore, to refresh. That's what this respite is supposed to be.
Hema is nodding along.
She gets it.
Yeah. Like I said, it took me many, many years to accept that I'm not a superwoman or superhuman being.
Yes, you are.
And it took me a long time to just let things be and accept. Yes. I think doing that would be great. I want to add one more thing. There's also, Lynn touched upon the family dynamics, people telling you, how to do, what you're not doing right, and things like that. I would say that caregiving is a thankless job and you are doing it because you want to do it. So I would really urge to also come to terms with not everybody's going to appreciate, not everybody's going to agree, and just accept that you're doing it for yourself and not for anybody else.
Along those lines, I was recently a caregiver for my grandma. She passed away earlier this year. But she lived with us for about 2 years, and we moved her from another state because she was experiencing neglect. And so she lived with us. And it was a real eye opener for me and a real life changer because I don't have a close family and I don't have kids. And all of a sudden, being fully responsible for someone else that I love, it really changed my life. And when we talk about family dynamics and when we talk about, self-care, I feel like in a lot of ways, even though I love my grandma very much, it turned my life upside down and it turned my identity upside down. And someone gave me the advice of, remember that you're a granddaughter. Like, remember, she's your grandma and you're a granddaughter. And I'm so glad they told me that because it started to color, like, of course, all the interactions I had with her were good, but it helped my perspective. So, Hema, when you say, like, ultimately you're doing this because you want to, that doesn't mean every single moment of the experience is a joyous one and you want to have that experience. But underneath that, there's sort of a foundation of, I have this relationship with someone that I love very much, and I'm doing this out of love. I do want to push a little bit. on what Lynn said. I want to be a little bit of a devil's advocate because Lynn, you're such a funny personality and you're such an experienced person. What advice would either of you give for someone who's not comfortable asking for help or doesn't even know that like they can ask for help? Like how can they do that? And what would both of you say are like the resources, like the places where they could start to do that, both personal and extended from there in the work that you do?
Well, I heard several years ago that what family caregivers need is they need permission to do these things. They need permission. They need to give themselves permission to ask for help. They also need to not see help as a weakness. I think it's wise to ask for help. I see caregiving like building a house. If you're going to go buy a house and you're going to build a house, are you doing the electrical work and the plumbing and the tiling and putting up the walls and the roof? God forbid if I ever did that, because I don't think that house would stand. What do? You trust the professionals to do what they know how to do. And the electrician is not doing the plumbing. And the roofer guy is not doing the tiling. Okay, so there's enough trust. You're relinquishing some of that control to these people that you've probably never met, but you believe that they know what they're doing. Why can't we think that way in caregiving? That has been my approach. And my title of Chief Caregiving Officer came from my husband. He had a plaque made for me, for my desk. I've never had a desk job. I worked retail. I was on my feet. I am still on my feet, running around doing whatever, but I do sit at the computer. And so to remind yourself that you do have choices. And that's what I said, it starts in your head. Allow yourself to ask someone for help, but make a list. What do you need help with? Because if a neighbor comes and said, you know what, I thought maybe, your grass could be mowed. I saw it's getting a little bit high. Would it be okay if I did that for you? Or my son is in town and, I'm going to ask him to do it. I would say yes. And if you feel better, you could bake cookies or a meatloaf or have a barbecue to repay that kindness. Okay, it's this give and take, and it is okay to do that. So prepare yourself. First, give yourself permission to do that, to accept for help and accept help graciously. Okay, there's an art to that. Make those lists, tiny to gargantuan tasks with which you need help. And when somebody offers, you show them that list. And if they don't ask, you can ask them. My neighbors, they brought over meals. We fed each other's dogs. When somebody goes away on vacation, for those people who can take a vacation, let me just point that out because many caregivers cannot, then we help each other. It's like bartering, So get to know your neighbors, create a new caregiving family. And that is the way to begin, to allow yourself to ask for help. And you stand taller, you get a little bit of a break, and you'll like it. I promise you.
Hema?
Yeah, I would say, for someone who is uncomfortable asking for help or who's not in the practice of asking for help, start small. Start asking for help that you are okay not having it your way, right? So identify those and start small. And what that will lead to is you will just get more and more comfortable for asking more and bigger things. Has been my observation, and that's been my experience also. I'm also one of those people who would hesitate to ask for help because just being conditioned and groomed as being independent. So it takes a little while to recondition yourself. So I would just say start small.
Caregiving, if I may add, because you hit something that I think is really important, Hema, is that caregiving doesn't always, but can turn your life upside down, just like you said, Becca. You have to look at things differently. You need to look at life and the principles and the laws. I mean, we don't break laws, okay? But I question everything. What made sense at one time doesn't apply today. You know, like my husband being the head of the household because I told him he could be the head of the household. I gave him permission and he said, okay. And now he can't. He says, I can't protect you. We have a lot of glass windows, glass doors. And he says, I can't protect you. It's scary when he brings that up. You know, he can't protect me and he's right. You know, so I have to think of how to protect myself. You know, so I've talked to my neighbors and in behind as well. You know, we look out for each other, you know, so you question everything. Whatever was normal before, you need to define a new normal, a new way to get things done, right? And that includes, you know, the independence part. That also applies to the loved one that we're taking care of because they're the ones who have lost more independence than we have. My husband is stuck in bed. Okay, that's really loss of independence, but not complete independence. He can use technology, and that has actually saved his sanity, his life, mine as well, to use that technology to communicate with family, friends. He traveled all over the world. He can travel virtually still. And he goes to China. Oh, yeah, I've been there. You know, Japan, I was there. Bali, his favorite beach. I'm like, that's wonderful. I stayed home. If I had to do it again, I would go with him. You know, so, but the technology, literally, there are no words to express my gratitude or his. He's a very smart guy, and you got to keep that brain engaged, you know?
So, how does technology play a role? You know, he's a smart guy, and you're picking right up on that and lining up vacations that you are also going to take yourself. But with technology, like, what is its role now? How do caregivers help with that? What is the good, the bad, the areas of improvement for all of our digital inclusion friends here on the call? How would you guys talk about it in your experience?
Emma, do you want to address that first?
I was gonna say
Yes.
something real quick, but it's just a joke. Sorry to interrupt. One of my I took care of both my grandmothers the last couple of years of their lives, and one that was more like a mother to me. I tried to get her to use technology, and she would always say, "I'm a Democrat, not a technocrat." She wouldn't touch technology with a 10-foot pole. Sorry, I just had to throw that little joke in there.
I'm glad
that's Fred.
He's a king, a guru of bad jokes. No, but that was a good one. I like that one.
That's really funny. Well, I mean, Fred, I mean, piggybacking on what Adam said, for me in my life's I've been caregivers for seniors, right? And they're of different generation altogether, and they are, you know, late adopters of technology. So how does technology play a part in a senior's life and in a caregiver's life are different? So if you look at the demographics of a caregiver today, there are yesterday I was at a conference and they said about 5 million of caregivers are under the age of 18, that's a pretty stark statistics, right? So having technology help caregivers is the trend that we should be heading to, because I think, they are naturally have been in that environment. They just know to use technology. They know to use it in different ways, monitoring or productivity or whatnot. So investing in, you know, digital tools for caregivers to take care of, um, the carries is pretty essential. So I'm just going to put a shameless plug-in for the platform that I'm building, sunlit.live, and that's exactly what it's trying to do, to serve as a care coordination for family caregivers, not for companies, not for agencies and things like that, but for family caregivers, for common people like you and me. For the seniors, um, um, everybody uses technology, even Adam's grandmother, who's not a technocrat but a Democrat. I'm sure she watched TV, or she listened to the radio, or she listened to music or something. So I think making it simple for them is the key. If you take a smartphone today, it has a bunch of settings, and it makes decisions for you, which are not things that, a senior, for example, is capable of doing it. So making things simple is the key on the technology front. The third aspect is for professional caregivers, and is now with the technology advancement, both in the technology and in the life sciences space, monitoring, aged people remotely has made some advancement, but there is a lot more that can be done. It's a very fragmented industry today, or you can monitor the temperature, you can monitor the blood glucose, you can monitor, certain things. But advancements in life sciences and technology in general monitoring of health, wellness, and mobility of seniors are pretty growing areas as well.
Can you tell us how to get more involved with Sunlit Live? While we're on the shameless plug, can you just, and everyone, this is in the resources for everyone, but can you just tell us a little bit more?
Yes, it's a technology platform that you can go to www.sunlit.live, and you can join our beta program. What we are providing as a starter for family caregivers is 4 basic features. A centralized record store for keeping all of the information that you need as a caregiver to give that care. Lynn will, attest to this. Anything that you want to get done for a carry, it's highly procedural, a lot of paperwork, and it has to be current and things like that. So our platform allows you to just organize that and keep it handy and current. The second one is the caregiving journeys itself, right? If you have to get something done, let's say I was talking to Lynn the other day, and she says, I wanted to get a state ID because my husband cannot drive anymore and the driver's license is not valid. Just taking them through that journey of, go to a Texas Department of, Transportation and request that somebody come to the house and get the ID made. I didn't even know that this was a facility that's available. So taking caregivers through that journey with checklists, and not only what, but how to and where, is something that the platform is doing. The other two are still in the process of making. Is a list of providers who can be listed on our platform for caregivers to connect, which will be vetted by the community, not by some Yelp, paid reviewer. And the last one is a hub where, sharing responsibility of caregiving, the items that you want get done, who can help you, and keeping the siblings or caregivers updated on the senior. So those are the primary four features that it's offering. So yeah, please sign up. And it's still very early, and that's why I'm opening it up early, so that I want this to be for the family caregivers by the family caregivers.
Excellent. Yes, and I will attest to that. I thought it was great. It's very organized and simple that even I can do it. So that I'm a dinosaur when it comes to technology. That's why I have my husband. He knows all that stuff. He was always a leader in technology, but the pain, he's not able to do all the things, and it just, he has brain fog because of, he takes 35 pills every day. So it's plus drops and blah, blah, blah. So I don't know how he's still smiling, but he's amazing. So I'm going to do my shameless plug over here for caregivingcafe.com. It is not what I call a full website. It is more of a resource guide and directory for family caregivers. So that's caregivingcafe.com. So it says when you get there, it's pretty bright white. And then just a little bit below, there's a resource directory. That is a directory, about 18 pages of recommended resources of all different types for family caregivers. I did not just Google them. These are recommended by family caregivers, by families, and by professionals who have dealt with them. I have elder law attorneys who can also talk to you about Medicaid, Medicare, financial planning, a lot of information about or for family caregivers, how to juggle their tasks. I have grief, not only at end of life, but during the course of caregiving. There's a lot of grief, that loss. We'll never go on vacation again. We'll never go to the theater. We can't even take a walk in the park. Okay, those things that normal people do, we can't do here. Okay, so how to adapt the funeral arrangements. I had no idea there were so many options nowadays. Telehealth, telemed, televisits, whatever your favorite term is amazing. I had it's seemingly a stress fracture on my left foot. So I got on the laptop and I said, I have an appointment in like 2.5 weeks. I'm not waiting. If it's broken, I need to know today. So Friday afternoon, I booked an appointment with telehealth, put my foot on the screen there. And she said, yeah, it looks like a fracture. So do this and that. Okay. So that is a godsend. My husband's doctor, we have a doctor that makes house calls in our own home. Very rare that somebody will do that. Dr. Jose Garcia has been coming to our home, private home, not senior living community, for about 3 or 4 years now. So Dr. Garcia was dealing with some medical issues. So he was in his bed doing a televisit with my husband in his bed. So both of them were like, to me, the doctor was not well, and yet he had enough in him. It was important enough to see his patient.
I'm gonna chime in there and be the bad guy in the interest of time.
Yes.
Because we only have a few minutes remaining and we want to do our giveaway. But I want to say, Lynn, being bedridden aside and having to go to the doctor aside, it sounds like the perfect world where one person can be in bed and the other person can be in bed and they can both be doing their jobs and getting what they need. Like, that is the world that we need to be living in.
Yes.
Yes. I want to do one other very quick plug, everybody, before we close, for our panelists today. That the QR code that I provided for the list of resources, those resources were given to us by Lynn, Hema, and Jolie. That includes ways to contact them and their organizations, and it also includes, pardon me, resources that they think are important. The other thing that I want to say is, I want to give a special thank you to Lynn, who has been just absolutely amazingly helpful in getting this panel together. Thank you so much, Lynn. So for those of you who did not get your questions answered, please do reach out to Sunlit Live. Do reach out to Jolie through UC Berkeley, the info there, and the Caregivers Cafe, because with Caregivers Cafe, Lynn provided additional resources, a blog, additional ways to get more information. And some of the information that I think is very crucial to us that we did not cover today is the dignity and perspective of the caree. All three of our panelists are very devoted to that and actually tried quite hard to get some carees to join us today. And I want to give them credit for doing that, and that didn't quite happen. But if you have issues or questions or concerns, please follow up with them on that. Another couple of things I want to say is additional support and resources. Lynn and Hema are excellent for that. And getting into the family dynamics, the boundary settings, and the sibling issues. Lynn has been in some news articles about, I think it was something like siblings, allies or adversaries or something like that. So like they're great at that. And so I do want to do that plug. Let me share my screen as we all end together to do our giveaway. I'm hoping that everybody can see it. Lynn, can you nod if you can see my screen? Okay. Everyone, we're almost a full year of our webinars. I know that this is like the busiest time with end of year, with a variety of holidays. Our next webinar is actually right around the corner. It is literally in a couple of weeks. Please join us on December 12th. It's going to be very exciting. It's the gift of digital inclusion, and we are going to have a wide variety of our partners, our leaders, our friends, some of our staff, and they're just going to share tips. Like, here's something that I've learned this year, and here's a course giveaway. Here's a tip about being resilient, and here's a course giveaway. So we're going to have such a wide variety of folks, and we're going to do 12 giveaways. So please join us for that. Lastly, digital skills and good digital citizenship is another area that we had hoped to get to today with the role of technology in caregiving. Our CTN online course titled Teaching Internet Safety and Responsibility covers a lot of these issues. It covers a lot of issues about like helping folks get online, but also navigate the digital world confidently and safely. And that is not our giveaway for today, but I did want to draw attention to that course. It's called Teaching Internet Safety and Responsibility. Here is a QR code for all of our online courses. Of course, you can find those on our website. But for those of you who are interested or don't quite get the raffle giveaway today, number one, come back in December where we're giving away a ton. And number two, you can go here to see our full course catalog. Okay. The course that we're giving away today is a $300 value. It's titled Digital Equity and the Aging. And it covers a wide variety of topics in that area. Along those lines, I do want to reiterate that we realize that caregiving is not just relevant to the aging, it's relevant to anyone who needs care. So by no means are we trying to make that, a direct connection. However, it's super relevant for aging populations. Okay, so we're giving this course away to the following folks that we have chosen at random. Please chime in if you're still with us. Do we have Alicia Ross? Either chat us or just yell at me. Do we have Maggie Monero? Maggie wins. I will follow up with you about this enrollment. Do we have Kurt Williams? Is Kurt with us? Kurt Williams? Hey, Kurt, you too, buddy. Coming your way. Do we have, and I'm sorry if I mispronounce, do we have Mimi Kelly? Mimi Kelly? Going once, going twice. Lucas Heller? Do we have Lucas? All right, here we go. Do we have Rachel Lockett? Do we have Crystal Jimenez? I recognize you, Crystal. Are you still on the call? Crystal. Crystal, you got it, sister. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, everyone. Please take a look at the resources and get in touch with our panelists. They are subject matter experts. Thank you all to our panelists. Thank you to our former and current CTN staff. And thank you everybody for joining us at such a busy time. We appreciate all the caregiving and digital inclusion that you do, and we appreciate you being with us today. Thank you, panelists, and a very, very happy Thanksgiving next week to all.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes. All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.